Okay. In 2002, the Congress passed a bipartisan bill called the Healthy Forest Restoration Act. And George W. Bush signed it into law on January 7th, 2003. Okay? The Forest Service said, what is a healthy forest? Incidentally, I'm giving you the actual bill. I'm giving you the bill. There it is. H.R. 2004, signed into law. Okay. So the Forest Service at the time said, well, we don't know what a healthy forest is. So the Forest Service, come here, baby. The Forest Service, they commissioned a very expensive study by the North America's best scientists, forest scientists, to do a study of what is a healthy forest. In 2008 or 2009 in March, they released a report called the GTR 220. In this report tells you that a healthy forest is from 120 to 209 trees per acre. And that the forests in the Sierra Nevada mountains need to be thinned in order to get down to those levels. Barack Obama never allowed the Forest Service to do it. Okay? He killed it completely. So our program was that we wanted the Forest Service to do their mandate, to do what they were commissioned to do, and that is was to make the forest healthy. And this would be massive. Now here's a study, and there is a number of these, and I'm going to show you a few. This is from Dr. Barnes at UC Merced. This is CAL FIRE 2015 study. This is the State of the Forest study by a left-wing environmental group. Okay. Every group that studied this has come back and said it's urgent. At the time, we had between 25 to 35% dead trees. Okay? And the reason we have dead trees is the average acre that's supposed to have a maximum of 209 have over 600 trees per acre. Okay? 600 trees per acre means that every drop of rain that comes down, every tree is vying for that drop of rain. And what actually happens is there's not enough water for 600 trees in that acre. So what happens is the ground cover takes up all the water that falls on the ground. So what we have is, we had, back in 2014, 2015, we had undergrowth of up to 12 feet high. 12 feet. Think about that. 12 feet of undergrowth in the forest. 600 trees in the forest. What happens with this is, if every tree is trying to get the water and there's not enough water, they become stressed. And when they become stressed, the bark beetle invades them. Right now, Mariposa is over 90% dead trees. When we met with the Mariposa supervisor, it was 35%. These are all studies that have been done. And like I said, this was the predictability study for 20,000. And this tells you that because of this is a federal agency, makes the predictions for fire, for all of the different government agencies that deal with fire, whether it be from municipal, county, state, federal, everything. These are the people. This is the person that makes the predictability study for, and like I said, it's 2015. It's all dead. That's 2015. So this large amount of rain that we got last winter, not this winter, but last winter, none of it got to the trees. None of it. So what's going to happen is the forest fires we saw last season are going to explode. Okay? Now,
in the coming seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because now we're in 2018. I'm talking this is prediction for 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. State of the Sierra Forest. This is by the Sierra Nevada Conservancy, which is a liberal organization, environmental organization. Urgent action is needed for the Sierra Nevada to avoid devastating impact on California's environment and economy. Okay. Now, what did we do? Obviously, we made dozens and dozens of presentations all up and down the Central Valley.
And we is the concerned
Central
citizens
Valley, concerned citizens of Central California.
Valley, Central California.
Yeah, we're kind of a loose group of people that cared. We're not a 501c3 or any of that. Okay, we're just a group of people that
live here.
We live here. We're upset.
And care about them.
Now, I told you what would happen. What would happen if we actually implemented the GTR 220? Okay, this paper tells you we have enough water here on a slow year to provide household water for every person in the United States.
Wow.
Okay, all the figures are there. They're all, by the way, when I'm telling you this, I'm going to give you the book. Everything I've said, everything, it's all documented. And it's not documented by me.
Do you have it? You have it scanned at all?
I'm giving you the book.
Okay, so
And if you think it's interesting, make a copy. And I'd like the book back because someday somebody's got to pay the price here. Okay. Now Dean Gould, who's the superintendent of the forest, Admiral Gould, I love him. Okay.
Very nice guy.
He's completely on our side. He wants to do this. He wanted to make the forest safe. He wanted to make the forest healthy. And they wouldn't let him. The only thing they're allowed to do with his budget is to clear around the 3 or 4 little settlements that are up there. So, Shaver Lake, up around Huntington? Yeah, Huntington Lake. There's a couple of little towns up there, little tiny things. So the only money they got is that. That's it. So they're going and they have to, by liability, they have to cut down trees that are going to fall in the road. Okay, they have to be able to get up in case of an emergency. So they go back 50 feet from the road and clear cut it. Now, we went to Tom McClintock. I want to save that for a minute. But the politician that really understood what we were talking about and how kind of is Jim Patterson. Hey, Jim, I told him, showed him, I gave him one of these books. He read it, and he did this. And we all went, what the hell is he doing? He says, this is what we can do. And he laid out a tri-county proposal. I've got this in the book here. What the tri-county proposal was, and we went to the supervisors, Mariposa, Madera, and Fresno. All of them voted unanimously except Fresno, and at the time, Debbie Pachigian was the head of the council.
Yeah, she was
Okay. Council president, I guess you call him.
So
She wouldn't even allow us to speak. So CAL FIRE, of all people, CAL FIRE said, Randell, bring your presentation. You're telling them everything we tell them. You're telling them the same thing we're telling you, that we're going to tell them. And we've documented it all.
Yeah.
So the Tri-County proposal was this, that each of the Board of Supervisors would select 1 or 2 people to be on this commission, and the commission would set up a plan, and this was taken to Dean Gould, and Dean Gould was all for it. And this is in the back of the book. It's the Apache County, Arizona did this. Okay, what they did is they literally went to the Forest Service and said, "Hey, our forests are dying. We're going to tell you what we need done, and you're going to put it onto your schedule. And in your schedule, then we're going to have a plan for a long period of time." Well, this is what we're going to do for all 3 counties. That all 3 counties were going to put a plan together for their counties in a big package, and Dean Gould's people would take it and put it into planning, and then send it back to the 3 counties for a vote, and then that's what he would do that following year. That would be his plan. So we would the commission would prioritize what each county needed as a priority. So that was the Tri-County proposal, and I have the Board of Supervisors for Fresno County. I have this is the Tri-County proposal,
What year was that proposed?
2015.
Okay. You just get that. Yeah.
Right. And here's tree mortality. Here's the jurisdiction. Well, we went to Tom McClintock, and okay, I don't want to say anything bad about Tom McClintock, but Tom McClintock went to Washington and became a team player. Okay, whether you've experienced that or not. So Tom McClintock in Roseville said, "Oh wow, yes, we'll get right here." And Igor, his chief of staff, says, "Get this going. We're going to do it." Then they sent back a thing that said, "Oh, we can't do it." And we go, "Why?"
Guadalupe Hidalgo.
Okay, the Hidalgo-Guadalupe Treaty of 1848 says that California is totally owned by the federal government. Okay, and when you look it up, you're going to find out that the federal government actually owns 49.9% of the entire state of California. Okay, which includes the entire Sierra Nevada mountains. And they wouldn't challenge it. I have jurisdiction. This was put together. This tells you the details of what they are owned. Now, the problem with this document, it's all marked for you, the problem with these documents are that the Eisenhower Protocol says the federal government only is allowed to own this, 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 and this, according to the Constitution. And that any treaty that we make must conform to our Constitution. So the treaty that was signed in 1848, now, the reason why California, the federal government wanted to move on that, gold was discovered. Okay, that also gave them Nevada with silver,
Right.
and Utah, and I mean, this was
Yep,
New Mexico, Colorado. This,
Oh, Wyoming.
okay? So all these minerals, Washington says, give me that paper to sign. I'll sign that. Okay? Totally against our Constitution. But nobody in Washington has the, I don't know how to politely say cojones. That's Spanish for, yeah. Doesn't have the cojones to step up and say this is against the Constitution of our Constitution. It's totally against the Constitution. So that Hidalgo Treaty is not in effect. I have the whole treaty here, so you can read it yourself.
Can I ask you one question? If they said the federal government owned the land, why wouldn't the federal government go ahead and do something?
Well, because Obama was the president, and the environmentalists in California, and Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein, Steyer, etc., they all claim, this is their position, is that if we don't do anything, that the forest will go back to being healthy.
All by itself.
All by itself.
But the Indians,
You've got the same
I know.
wavelength. I was
Yeah,
thinking the
you-
same thing.
that's
'Cause
something
they knew how to take care of the forest, and they did a very good job.
Yes.
they knew how to thin it. They knew that
Right
And
now,
uncontrolled burns. They knew
and all
exactly
these
when
studies.
to do
They're not
those.
looking at the studies that their own Sierra Club did.
No.
Hello.
they don't care. Because they believe, and have you ever heard of a group called Gaia? Okay, Gaia is a group of people that believe that the earth is alive, and that is their God.
Yeah, it's
And-
a goddess worshipping cult.
It's okay. Federal land since 2010. It's now. So, like I said, everything I say to you is going to be documented.
Let it take care of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not be
you see it?
caretakers.
Right.
That's the federal
That's in
land
2010.
ownership.
Yes.
They say they own this.
Yes, that's right. So if you're not in the city limit, theoretically, they can come to my property and take it. Okay?
The jurisdiction, if they want to.
Yes. Which is why they started this crazy jurisdiction. Can you?
What?
We're not getting a breeze, I guess.
Well, I turned the fan on just to stir
I
up
know.
the air a little bit because it was awfully hot.
Maybe we can turn it faster. Faster.
I don't know if it goes.
I don't know. It does. I don't know.
You want to sit over here?
No. Anyway, so there are a number of groups and a number of court cases, and I've documented them all. So any attorney can get all the, and I've got all the rulings on all of them. So we have dozens of rulings on our side. We have none on their side. None. It's
They're
never been-
being the federal government?
That's right. So Tom McClintock dropped us like a hot brick.
He could have done something with it.
Well, he would
Decided
have to.
not
He would have had to
It
go
was
against.
too hard.
He would have had to go against the establishment Republicans in Congress, and he wasn't willing to do that.
But this was in 2015, 16,
14, 15.
14. Okay,
Mhm.
so it needs to be. We've
Yes.
got some,
Well,
yeah,
we need a governor,
right? That's going
Okay.
to help
which is why
fight for this.
I'm praying that you give this to Travis. Now, let me. There's a couple of other things that I'm going to talk about, and that is the Equal Access to Justice law. This law that was passed by the Democrats says that the federal government, if you sue the federal government, that the federal government has to pay for both sides' attorneys. Okay? And because of the Equal Access to Justice law, what happens is there's no legal fund for the Sierra Nevada, or for the Sierra National Forest, or any national forest. They don't have any money. And they don't give them any money for legal defense. So if you have an accident in the Sierra National Forest, and even if it's your fault, you can sue the federal government, and the federal government has no money to pay for their defense, so they will settle. Okay, and there are multiple national law firms. Their only source of income is suing the federal government. Their attorneys are paid at $200, $300, $500 an hour, and then they put in a claim for $1 million or $500,000 or whatever. The federal government says, okay. Equal Access to Justice Act, and I've got all the stuff, the rules and regulations for that. Now, also the Monument Project that Obama tried to put, that Obama has already, that President Trump has already killed. Thank you. They tried to make the entire Sierra Nevada mountain a monument, which means that Gaia would have taken over the entire thing. Now, okay, this is the Reader's Digest version of this. We have been, one of our main guys is Dr. Weiss, who passed away last year. One of the most brilliant men around. And
he was a dentist and a geologist.
And he absolutely loved this country. He died in his 80s, and there you go. And here is.
And he never got to see this done.
No. But I've been told continue to do it if we can. That is the law that tells the federal government what they're legally allowed to own. And those are the decisions when it's been challenged in court. So any attorney can look this up and go, whoa, really, whoa. Okay, there you go.
So thank you, Randell. It's Randell Widner. Widner, forgive me. And
I don't forgive you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. And we're going to make sure we get this video to Travis Allen.
Yes.
So that when he's governor, he can do something about this.
I got to tell you.
He's already brought this up, actually. He's already concerned with this same issue in Northern California.
Right.
But we will make sure we bring our Sierra mountains to his attention also.
The entire Sierra Nevada mountains. It isn't just north or middle. They're all dying. The entire Sierra Nevada. Okay.
If we don't do something,
I'll make a point here.
And it runs from
Do you
full length.
know Antelope National Park?
No.
Antelope National Forest. Do you go over the Grapevine?
yes.
That's the Angeles National Forest.
Out there.
Yeah. How many trees do you see? None.
Not that many.
None. And the reason is that the environmentalists 30 years ago got a hold of it like they're getting a hold of it now. And now the only thing that's left on that mountain, all the way down into LA, all the way down, is scrub brush. There are no trees. Because they wouldn't thin them. They got stressed. The bark beetle and other pests got into them, and all of them burn up. They all burn up. This is about to happen right here.
This whole mountain's going to start on fire.
Yes.
And all these trees are going to burn down. Houses are going to burn down. Lives might be lost.
Margaret Mims and I, we went and saw her and talked to her about this, gave her a book, and said, listen, the most important thing that you can do right now is to make multiple regresses off that mountain. Because of Memorial Day next weekend, there'll be close to 1 million people up there. There's 2 or 3 or 4 bottlenecks up there that if you're on that side of it, you can't get down. And helicopters can't get you down.
Oh, wow.
There'll be too many people.
Oh, I know.
So,
Scary.
and she's got to have funds. If you don't have funds, the sheriff department can't do what they don't have, and Caltrans is run by the governor. How much money does Caltrans have? Not enough to make. So what they did is they took some sheriff money and they ran bulldozers down a couple roads. And I said, my thing was, you need 4, maybe 5 ways off the mountain. That is good enough to drive for soccer moms in a little van.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes. Yes. But if you don't get that done,
Yeah.
we're looking at a major tragedy.
So this needs to get some attention right now.
We've been.
Yeah.
She's totally for it. She
Okay.
has no budget for it, and you know more about that than I do probably. She's a wonderful lady and sticking up for this county and doing what you can, but if you don't get the funding,
Oh my goodness. There's going to be a disaster.
yes,
Yeah,
Yep.
there is.
catastrophic.
Oh my gosh.
And the town of Mariposa was in dire danger last year.
Yes,
And
and
we've seen this already happen.
yes,
You look at
and
last fall.
it's worse
What
this
happened
year.
down- yeah.
It's worse this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, where we are, we're fairly safe.
Napa,
But
Napa, and that whole. Just,
2 years ago, there was a grass fire. We could see the flames over the hill there.
Yep.
It was so close.
But-
It was less than a mile away from here.
So if they would just allow is it called timbering? What is it called when they thin out? Like,
This has to
they
be
would
a
allow-
major plan for like a 20-year plan. And if you're going to find a statement there by Steve Franks, who's he is an
Up here,
actor.
by the way, Sue.
Take that with you. Take that.
Yeah, I'm gonna
You got
take
one,
this.
okay.
yeah, he's got to get up at 1 in the morning.
I'm sorry. And I made you do all the work.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is so great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay.
They
Thank you.
but yeah, no, this is frightening.
yes, I heard Travis Allen talking about it down in Fireball last week.
Right.
About bringing back maybe the timbering industry, and that would
I
create
was
jobs.
I was
They
gonna tell
could
you,
only do a certain percentage based on the study of how many trees need to be thinned, not anymore.
no strip
Not,
logging. No.
You know, just taking every
Just
tree off
if-
the mountain.
If right now, if they did nothing but take out dead trees,
That would be good.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
If they did nothing but that.
Right.
But you know what? That would be 12 months a year. That would be probably 100,000 loggers. And even then, it's going to be a 10-year project.
Okay.
Well,
It's
and it'll
huge.
be ongoing, you know. You
Huge.
do the whole forest and you come right back.
But
to
if that
it.
saves one life,
It's going to...
it's worth it.
It is.
It would have to be a plan. That's what
Mm-hmm.
we tried to start in 2014.
Okay.
And I was going to tell you that Steve Franks, who's the head of the Forest Association, the Logging Association here in California, is absolutely, you're going to see documents in there from him. He is absolutely behind us. And
Steve Brinks.
Steve Brinks, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, not Steve Franks.
Yeah.
Steve Franks is another guy, but Steve Brinks, what we had planned is in all the major counties, 1 or 2 schools set up to teach logging, just because we don't have enough loggers, and try to recruit and bring in and teach logging, and because there's no logging left in California to speak of. We have a little bit in the North Coast, and that's it. So,
All right. Well, this is such valuable information. I'm glad I met you guys. And I'm glad I can bring this, hopefully, to Travis Allen. And maybe when he's
You never
governor, we can get something done up here before
Well-
we lose a life.
well,
right.
listen. You want to, if he wants to fix the economy, we're buying logging right now from China. Did you know that?
I did not.
You go to buy a house, it's been built with Chinese lumber. California used to supply half of the lumber in the United States. Not anymore.
Yeah.
But it sounds like what I'm hearing is the environmentalists have put such strict rules that they've completely, basically cut out the timber industry.
Right.
Because they thought, well, you shouldn't cut any trees down
That's right.
if you want to keep the forest healthy.
That's right.
But in fact, the study showed it's the opposite.
Exactly right.
So we need to
You got it.
Inform the environmentalists that their theory is
like
wrong.
Like I said, in 2014,
certainly is.
we had the Sierra Nevada Conservancy came onto our side and said, urgent, let's do something. And everybody agreed.
Okay. Well, thank you, Randall and Ann, for your time. Thank you so much.
welcome.
And hopefully I can get back to you guys with
Sounds great.
some good news about this, okay?
Great.
Alrighty.
Right. Ask him to copy all that. And
Yes, we will get this book over to him and
Yes.
get it back to you.
Perfect.
Okay?
Great.
Thank you.